Level 1, the associate. It's 2 a.m. and it's raining. Not the kind of rain that looks romantic in movies. The kind of rain that soaks through your jacket in 30 seconds flat and makes everything smell like wet concrete and cigarette ash. You're standing outside a warehouse on the east side of the city that doesn't exist on any map that matters. You're 22 years old. Your shoes are too thin for this weather. Your hands won't stop shaking. And you keep telling yourself it's the cold. It isn't the cold. 3 weeks ago, a man named Carmine sat across from you in a diner booth, ordered a coffee he never touched, and offered you a way out. Out of the debt. Out of the apartment where the heat stopped working in November. Out of the version of your life that was slowly grinding you into nothing. You said yes before he even finished the sentence, and he smiled. Not warmly. The way a man smiles when he already knew what you were going to say before you opened your mouth. Tonight is your audition. They don't call it that. They don't call it anything. They just tell you to show up, keep your mouth shut, and do what you're told. So that's what you do. You show up, you keep your mouth shut. And when the man beside you, a thick-necked guy named Paulie who hasn't said more than 6 words to you all night, hands you a black duffel bag and tells you to carry it to the white van parked on the corner and don't look inside, you take it. You take it. The bag is heavier than you expected. Not just the weight of it, the weight of what it means. Every step you take toward that van is a step away from the person you were this morning. You can feel it happening in real time. Some invisible line being crossed beneath your feet with every footfall on the wet pavement. You don't look inside the bag. You put it in the van. You close the door. And Polly nods at you once, slow, the way men in this world nod when they're filing something away in a mental drawer they'll open later. On the drive back, nobody speaks. The city slides past the rain-streaked windows like a painting that doesn't belong to you anymore. You stare at your reflection in the glass. Same face, same eyes, but something behind them has shifted. Something that won't shift back. You are in now. And the terrifying part, the part you won't admit to anyone, not even yourself, lying in bed at 4 a.m. staring at the ceiling, is that some part of you is relieved. Level 2. The soldier. 18 months later, you know what was in the bag. You've known for a long time. You just stop being surprised by things like that. That's the first thing this life does to you. It recalibrates your sense of normal until things that would have horrified the 22-year-old version of you barely register as a footnote in your day. You are a soldier now, made, vouched for. Your name means something on these streets, even if it means nothing anywhere else. Power has a smell. Did you know that? It smells like old leather car seats and expensive cologne, and the particular kind of silence that fills a room when you walk into it, and people clock who you are. You noticed it the first time about 4 months ago. Walked into a bar you used to get ignored in, and watched 3 men straighten up when they saw your face. Watched the bartender move faster. Watched eyes drop. You told yourself it didn't feel good. It felt good. But power in this world is a room with no windows. The higher you climb, the more paranoid you become. You start noticing things. The car that's been parked on your block 3 mornings in a row. The way your phone feels different in your hand now. Heavier, like it's listening. You change your route to work every single day. You sit with your back to walls. You trust nobody completely. Not even the men you'd take a bullet for. Especially not them. Tonight you're sitting in a car outside a restaurant on Mulberry Street. It's 7:45 p.m. The streetlights are buzzing that low amber buzz they do in winter. You can see your breath fogging up the windshield slightly. Beside you is a man named Tommy, who is eating a sandwich with the calm focus of someone who does not understand or simply does not care what the next 20 minutes are going to look like. You understand. You care. But you've learned to wear the same face Tommy is wearing. Still, blank, present. Then, wait. A black sedan you've never seen before rolls slowly past the restaurant. Too slowly. It doesn't stop, doesn't park, just rolls. You feel every hair on your arms stand up beneath your jacket. Your hand moves to your waist without you consciously deciding to move it. The sedan turns the corner, disappears. Tommy takes another bite of his sandwich. You exhale. Slow. Controlled. Nobody can know your heart just tried to exit your chest through your ribcage. In this world, showing fear is more dangerous than the thing you are afraid of. You sit. You wait. You breathe. And when the moment comes, you do what you were sent to do. On the drive home, you don't think about it. You learned early how to build a wall in your mind and put certain things behind it. You turn on the radio. Some old Sinatra song. You tap your fingers on the steering wheel. You stop at a red light and watch a couple argue on the sidewalk over something small and ordinary and almost unbearably normal. You watch them and feel something you can't quite name. Level 3, the Capo. You have 11 men now. 11 men whose rent, whose problems, whose mistakes, whose bad decisions at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, all of it lands on your desk. You didn't understand what leadership meant in this world until the night one of your youngest guys, a kid named Dario, who reminded you too much of yourself at that age, made a move without telling you. A side deal. Small, stupid. The kind of thing that gets overlooked when you're a nobody and gets you buried when you're connected to someone who matters. And you matter now, which means Dario's problem is your problem. And your problem is Carmine's problem. And Carmine does not like problems. You sat across from Dario in a back room and looked at this kid, 20 years old, chain on his neck, leg bouncing under the table. And you felt the full weight of what it means to be responsible for another human being in this life. Not responsible for their well-being, responsible for their existence. Two entirely different things. You handled it. You don't need to say how. It got handled, and Carmine nodded, and the matter was closed. But you didn't sleep for 4 days after. Because the thing they don't tell you when you're climbing, the thing nobody sits you down and explains, is that the higher you get, the more of yourself you have to leave behind on the way up. You started this journey carrying a duffel bag across a wet parking lot, trying not to look inside. Now you are the reason other men carry duffel bags. You are the reason other young men with thin shoes and shaking hands stand outside warehouses in the rain, wondering what they've just agreed to. You made them what they are, just like Carmine made you. Level 4. The Underboss. There is a man sitting across the table from you right now who has flown in from Chicago. His name is Sal Marchetti. He is 61 years old, perfectly dressed, silver cufflinks, eyes like 2 holes cut in a marble floor. He flew here because 3 weeks ago something happened involving a shipment and a missing $140,000 and a body that turned up in the wrong place at the wrong time. And Sal Marchetti thinks it was your people. The room you're sitting in is quiet the way a held breath is quiet. There are 4 men on your side of the table and 4 on his. Everyone's hands are visible. Everyone is completely still. The only sound is the distant hum of the city outside and the faint tick of an antique clock on the wall that sounds, in this silence, like a time bomb. Sal is looking at you, waiting. Because you are the underboss. The Don does not sit at tables like this one. That's what you're for. You're the wall between the street and the throne. You absorb situations like this so that the man above you never has to. And right now, every single person in this room is waiting to see what comes out of your mouth next. One wrong word, one flicker of defensiveness, one sentence that Sal Marchetti decides to interpret as disrespect. And 4 men fly back to Chicago with a very different set of instructions than the ones they came here with. You pick up your glass of water, you take a slow sip, you set it back down, and then you speak. Your voice is calm. Lower than usual, measured the way only someone who has spent years learning that silence is a weapon uses their voice. You tell Sal that you understand why he made the trip. You tell him his concern is legitimate and you respect it. You tell him that you have already begun looking into the matter personally and that you will have answers for him within 72 hours. And you tell him, looking directly into those marble floor eyes without blinking, that the friendship between your family and his family is not something that either of you can afford to put at risk over a misunderstanding. The word misunderstanding does a lot of work in this room. Sal holds your gaze for a long moment. 5 seconds. 6. 7. Then he nods, just once. The exhale in the room is invisible, but everyone does it. You lift your glass again. Your hand is perfectly steady. It wasn't always. Level 5. The Dawn. You are sitting in a leather chair by a window. It's early morning, just before the city wakes up. That blue quiet hour when the streets are empty, and the light is the color of cold steel, and everything looks like it's holding still just for you. You're wearing a robe over your shirt. There's a cup of espresso on the table beside you that's gone cold because you haven't touched it in 20 minutes. You are 63 years old. The city below this window is yours in every way that matters, and in no way it can be written down. Your name is not on a single document, not a lease, not a license, not a deed. And yet there are men in this city, powerful men in suits who eat lunch in places with waiting lists, who will not make a significant decision without first considering how you might feel about it. That is power, not the duffel bag kind, not the gun in the waistband kind, this kind, the quiet kind, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself because the room already knows. You should feel something looking out this window. Pride, maybe. Satisfaction. The particular piece of a man who built something from nothing. But what you actually feel, sitting in this chair in the blue morning quiet, is the weight. The accumulated weight of 41 years of decisions, of duffel bags and back rooms, and long drives home with the radio on, of Dario's face across a table, of Sal Marchetti's marble eyes waiting for the word that would end the war before it started, of the 11 men who became 50, who became 200, who all carry a version of your fingerprints on the lives they lead. You think about the 22-year-old standing in the rain outside a warehouse with shaking hands and thin shoes. You think about what you would say to him if you could. And the honest answer, the one you'll never say out loud, not to your wife, not to your consigliere, not to the priest you see once a year, is that you wouldn't say anything, because nothing you could say would have stopped him. He was always going to pick up that bag. He was always going to walk toward the van. Some men are built for this road, whether they want to be or not. The only thing you could have told him, the only true thing, is this. Every single thing you gain in this life, you pay for with something you can never get back. Every level up costs you a floor below, and by the time you reach the top, you look down and realize you can't even see where you started from anymore. The espresso is cold now. You drink it anyway. Outside, the city is waking up. Trucks, horns, the distant sound of a heavy door somewhere closing. You close your eyes, and you sit with what you've built, and what it built in return.